House delegate in the 53rd District.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out today. Is everybody ready to rally? Yeah. Is everybody ready to march? Yeah. All right, here you go. Let's pump up the enthusiasm. Yes. So, look, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. If there's been sort of one silver lining from the election in November, it's that everybody understands now that elections really do matter, right? As Sarah was talking about that 70% that's in the middle, there's a huge number of Americans that sort of, I think, previously felt like, well, what difference does it make? They're all really about the same anyway, right? Well, we've learned, what happens when Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, and all the levers of regulation. We get awful things happening. We get people staying the Clean Power Plan. We get people talking about drilling on our shore, off our shore again, despite what we've said over and over again that we don't want that. It's 2017. Do you guys think we can stop burning things? Can we find a better way to power our Earth other than just burning stuff? We've had fire for 50,000 years. Can we harness the power of the wind? Let's harness the power of the sun. Let's turn that into clean energy. So it's great. The good news is that you all are awake. You know that it matters. You're out here today to rally. You're going to be out over there to march in a few minutes. But what's more important than any of that is that you all get out and you vote. And that you vote every year. Usually about this time of year, about the end of April, beginning of May, my job as an elected official in Virginia is to beg and plead with people. Please. We have elections every year in Virginia. We need you to keep it up. This year, what's been fantastic is I get to come to groups like this and I get to say, guess what? We have elections every year in Virginia. We don't have to wait until 2018 to send a message that we don't think that this administration, that this Congress, that the Republican Party doesn't represent our values. Here in Virginia, we get a chance to send that message right away. You can send that message by being a climate change and clean energy voter on June 13th and on November 7th of 2017. We can send clean energy candidates and climate candidates to the State House and to the Governor's Mansion this year. Who's with me? Yeah! And I have a suggestion for how we can engage those 70%. We've got a lot of folks in Virginia that say, look, I understand the environment's important, but that's not really my issue, right? I'm more motivated by national security. I'm worried about terrorism. I'm worried about instability in the world. What do you say to folks like that? What's the cause of that instability? Where does that instability, where does that insecurity come from? It comes from food shortages. When there's a drought in China, wheat prices in Egypt cause the price of bread to go up, which causes instability in the street. All that is part of this toxic mix that we have that makes our world less safe. So if you're a national security voter, you're a clean energy voter. You're a climate voter. What about folks say, look, the environment's important, but I'm not really about that. I'm more of a social justice person. I'm concerned about economic inequality. I'm concerned about our communities of color. What do you say to folks like that? You say, what happens to those communities after a Hurricane Katrina? What happens to those communities of color, those impoverished communities after Sandy Hook? Who reinvests, who builds up, who's impacted more by natural disasters that are becoming more frequent and more common, more than anybody else? It's our communities that have been marginalized for years and years and years. So if you care about the quality of life in those communities, if you care about economic injustice, that you are a clean energy and a climate change voter. And as we heard some folks say, what about jobs? What about these coal miner jobs? What if I say, look, the environment's kind of a nice to have thing, but I'm really worried about jobs right here, right now. What do you say to folks like that? You tell them clean energy is where the jobs are, right? You tell them the solar industry, the renewable energy, the wind turbine energy, that they employ more people than coal. It's a fact. Facts are stubborn things. We've got to keep repeating them until they sink in. So, if I could ask you all to do one thing after you rally today, after you march today, after you vote on June 13th, keep engaging your friends, your neighbors, your fellow Democrats, your fellow progressives, your Republican friends, your conservatives. And what do you care about? What is it that motivates you to vote? And then explain to them that all of that boils down to having a planet and a climate that we can live and we can thrive in, where we have good jobs, and where we can pass on to our children the future that we want for them and that they deserve. So with that, I would thank you all very, very much. Now let's go out and rally, and let's go out and march, and let's go out and vote!